Good evening, guys. How are you doing? I'm sorry I missed last week. I was out sick with the flu. So this month here is Black History Month. So the book that I'm going to be reading is a nonfiction book. It is Learn About Dignity from the Life of Martin Luther King Jr. This is a 4.4 book. So kindergarten through fifth grade can take a test on this. So we're going to read all about Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1929. His father was the pastor of a Baptist church. The Kings lived a good life, but they were faced with anger and racism. Every day, they were African Americans. At the time in the United States, many white people wrongly believed that they were better than blacks. But Martin knew that all people were equal. He believed in his own dignity and the dignity of all African Americans. He spent most of his life fighting for equal rights for African Americans. Martin fought hard for equal rights for African Americans. Segregation. Segregation kept blacks and whites apart. Black children went to different schools than white children. There were separate restrooms and drinking fountains. Blacks had to sit in the back of the bus. They had to sit in the balcony seats at movies away from whites who sat downstairs. Few restaurants would serve African Americans. In stores, they were either ignored by clerks or watched for fear of shoplifting. Although this was unfair, segregation was legal. So you have a white waiting room. See? Hurt and anger. As a child, Martin was aware of the racism that surrounded him. He was hurt and angry by it. Martin's father believed that life would someday be better for them. He believed that white children would change their attitudes towards black people. He taught this to Martin. At church, Martin and his family prayed and sang songs. They organized activities to help improve living and working conditions for all African Americans. Martin and his family believed that all people would one day live together peacefully. Touched by racism, Martin loved school. He enjoyed giving speeches and writing. He won first place in a contest for an essay. He wrote about the African American and the United States Constitution. He and his teacher traveled by bus to receive the prize. On the way home, his joy turned to frustration. A white man got on the bus. The bus driver told Martin to give up his seat to the white man. At first, Martin argued and wouldn't give up his seat, but he finally did. Many people were angry about the way black people were treated. So you see people are holding up signs. Mohandas Gandhi. Martin decided to become a pastor. He's like his father. At Crozer, a school for pastors, he learned about Mohandas Gandhi. Gandhi was an Indian lawyer and activist who had groomed India, who had governed India. Gandhi believed that love was more powerful than violence. Martin had learned that from his father many years before. Gandhi believed in fighting injustice with peaceful resistance. Martin started to wonder if this might work for African Americans. Mohandas Gandhi believed and taught that love was stronger than hate and violence. Changing times. Martin graduated from Crozer at the top of his class. Then he earned his PhD at Boston University. There he met and married Coretta Scott. There she loved Martin and believed in his work. They moved to Alabama, where Martin became a pastor of a Baptist church. In 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court decided to end segregation in schools. Blacks and white children began to go to some schools. Martin knew that this was the beginning of change. It was a step in the right direction of equally rights for blacks and whites. Martin's wife Coretta supported Martin's beliefs and work. Rosa Parks. In 1955, a black woman named Rosa Parks was arrested in Montgomery, Alabama. She had refused to give up her seat on the bus to a white man. The head of the Montgomery National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which is the NAACP, contacted Martin. They planned a bus boycott. To stop Rosa's action, African Americans agreed to stop using buses until racism rules changed. The boycott lasted for a year and it worked. In November 1956, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that blacks could sit anywhere they want on a bus. Rosa Parks' Bravery Act helped sign a major move toward equality for African Americans in the United States. Peaceful protest. Martin continued to believe that nonviolent protest was the only way to make good change. He formed a group that encouraged churches to work for the rights of African Americans. He joined students in peaceful protests. Students held sit-ins in restaurants where African Americans were not served. Often the students were arrested. Martin was arrested too. He accepted these arrests, and with dignity, he believed that it was better to be jailed for breaking an unjust law than to accept it. Martin organized peaceful protests for equal rights. The March on Washington. Martin organized many protest marches. In the summer of 1963, Martin organized a march on Washington. People of every race took part. More than 250,000 people marched through Washington, D.C. with Martin and listened to him speak. He spoke of his dreams from the U.S. He shared his vision that one day all people will be able to live together in peace. In 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1965, United States President Lyndon B. Johnson created a law ensuring equal voting rights for all people. Martin is remembered for his courage. Martin is remembered by many for his courage, strength, and dignity. Dignity and grace. In April of 1968, Martin went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help a group of workers who were on strike. He was shot and killed by someone who was afraid of his ideals. He was only 39 years old. Martin had helped the country understand that all people should be treated equally. Martin was a great leader in a time of change. In 1983, the United States government declared January the 15th, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, a national holiday. Throughout his life, Martin Luther King Jr. chose peaceful resistance. He fought for what he believed was right with dignity and grace. So you guys can listen to this book again and you can take an AR book. This is a 4.4 book and this is for kindergarten through 5th grade. Have a great night, guys. I hope you enjoyed the story.